Donald Trump is the American people's retribution against elites. By and large, if you feel like you're well served by America's institutions, you vote for the Democratic Party. If you feel like you are not well served by America's institutions, you vote for Donald Trump. Why did this happen? Because of decisions made by our elites and our institutional leaders, and Donald Trump is a reaction to that. The paleocons have been right about everything for the last 75 years. Right? I am down with the Chronicles magazine perspective on life. I'm not down with the Commentary magazine perspective on life. When a communist, a leftist, a neocon makes a good point, I'm going to stand up and say that communist or that neocon, right, made a good point. Would we have as much citizen journalism if mainstream journalism hadn't been so crappy in areas and so biased and so shoddy and so deceptive and hypocritical and lying and covering up, for example, about the obvious senility of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden has been displaying obvious signs of senility, right, since 2017, and the mainstream media covered it up. Ergo, people are increasingly turning to citizen journalists.
In that fall that people looking back say, maybe that was the beginning.
But I only bring this up to say that, the greatest public health failure of our time gets into China and gets into establishment and gets into and gets into HHS and gets into the CDC and gets into Anthony Fauci, and then gets into this whole question of whether or not there was a concerted conspiracy among the people who do this work with viruses to suppress the truth about the virus, because it was going to come down on their heads and bring them into disgrace and world historical blame for having supported a policy of gain of function research that had been rejected and had essentially, we had been told, was not going to be done anymore because it was too dangerous. Nobody questioned that there was no skepticism about establishment ideas about health in 2020. And that means when you get to 2025, you have a guy who thinks that the measles vaccine, which has saved tens of millions of lives since its application, needs to be questioned, or fluoride needs to be questioned in the water.